Bro, how many chem exams did you do before the actual chem exam?
Not a lot. Like compared to special methods, like probably like I don't know, 15. Because I really found like
15. You did
science exams so
15.
boring.
You did 15 chem exams.
Well, like 15 or less. I don't know.
I did 4.
You did 4, right? They're so boring.
Yeah. I don't know, for chem it's like if you can't do it, you kind of just like sit there and like look at it. Like, yeah. I started too late, I think, for chem, and then like, yeah, and then I didn't do that much. So.
Mm.
Oh, this dude like wants to pay me to like, um, have I replied to him to like correct his English essays?
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. Like, I don't know. I mean, if you don't go to a good school, it's probably
He's
useful.
just, he's just doing the memorizing good essay type.
Yeah, probably.
How much is he offering?
He just said like, Can I pay you to do it? He didn't really mention a price. He's like,
Oh.
I think he phrased it weirdly. He said, I'm happy to give you like a financial incentive. I was like, and the beauty of
Are you paying George to edit your videos?
Yeah. Indeed, I do pay.
Is he doing a good job?
Yeah, he's really good in terms of that. Like, he's like very proactive.
Like he asks you what do you want it to be, or
Yeah, we like hop on Discord and we go through the. So he edits it like the basic stuff. So he syncs the audio with the video and the screen share, and then we hop
yeah.
on and then I talk to him about like titles at what times, what points, and it's like usually a fairly long call, like maybe like more than an hour usually, but he's pretty good. He like does it with no complaints.
Yeah.
Well, what can you code with your Python knowledge now?
Like shit all. I can probably like solve a few like competition questions.
Like those like maths questions you see on.
Mm. Yeah, sort of. They're like math or like logic questions or whatever.
Oh. It's like AMC questions. Oh no, not AMC. Like Olympiad questions, kind of like if there's like four odds.
Yeah, there's like sort of like that.
Here we go.
Because all I've learned is like the basic, like how to like do stuff with the language, right? How to make like a loop or some shit. But like in terms of like making a website or something like that, that requires like some user interface stuff that I like haven't learned. Like you only learn that in like probably like some web design subjects, but not like just language based subjects.
And what's the point of them teaching you like? Will they teach you more Python next year? Why do they teach you like a little bit of each?
Um, it's two different subjects, so they teach different language.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, so with the exam, do you type in stuff for the code? Like you have to type it into like a thing, or
Yeah.
I
The
think
exam is just sort of like it's sort of like just solving like AMC questions too.
right. We'll start 7:50. I think.
Okay.
Didn't you do really well in that one, in the coding one?
Yeah, I did pretty well. Like I thought I didn't get anything wrong, but like I probably did. based on the score that I got.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like kind of weird. They don't like tell you, or at least for med, they don't tell you what you got wrong. They just like they tell you like for different subjects what you how many marks you lost, but then you don't like learn anything from the exam. I guess.
Yeah, true.
But for us, like each year, consecutive year, the exams is too similar. So if they gave it back to us and we gave it to the year below, they'd be like pretty OP.
Mm. Oh, actually, yeah, we get past exams though for practice.
We get like
They
20.
just don't give
What did you say? They don't give what?
like they don't give a lot. They give like 1 or 2 years of past exam.
Oh, we get 1 or 2 years, but we get like old ones, like 2016, 2017. And that's it.
Oh, okay.
Here we go again. I kind of want to be more than. Do you do any of this SPESH stuff in uni?
Actually, like a tiny bit. Um, like it's sort of related, but it's just everything that you use is more like you have to prove everything more like rigorously before you. So like we do like differential equations and like integration and stuff as well, right? But like um most of it's proof, but there's also like some arithmetic like calculations questions. That's like basically just SPESH.
When you said arithmetic, I just thought of like sequences and series. So I was like, oh my goodness, like, oh.
Wasn't that like year 11? That
Yeah,
was year 11, right?
A plus like 5D if it's like if they add something each time.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Have you picked what you're doing after undergrad?
I don't even know if I'm gonna do a grad,
What are you gonna do? Just work, like
but
find a job or something after.
maybe. Like I don't know. Like I actually don't know. So for med people, is it just you do your undergrad and you just go straight into hospital?
Yeah, but it's a long process till I'm like a GP or like a proper consultant. Like they call me doctor, but like, after 5 years, like I'm doctor, but I'm not like I'm not a specialist. I need to like follow people around and stuff.
So after your undergrad, they call you doctor.
Yeah, like I'm a doctor already after undergrad. Yeah, I feel like you'd need somewhere to go after 3 years. Like if you just like don't go post grad and then you have nothing to do, then yeah. Oh yeah, and your name's Direction Cape, by the way. But I doubt they'd see it. It doesn't matter. My name's Six. Like it doesn't.
Yeah.
All right, I'll start the live then. I need to edit a couple small things. Do you want to write like we're starting at 8 somewhere on the thing?
Uh, Okay, sure. My handwriting there.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. I think we're public now. There are a couple of things I need to fix. I'll turn monetization on. And I will change the thumbnail so it's a picture of us. Alright, cool. I think we are online. I think they all start school holidays this week. So they might be enjoying
This
their
week?
holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you allowed to do private tutoring or not? Because you're with Ricky, right?
Yeah, I think I'm allowed to do. But even if I'm not allowed, like I don't give a shit. I'm just do it anyway.
Fair.
Because I'm pretty sure like all the tutors do it.
Okay. Have you written we're starting it? Oh, you wrote it here. Alright, let me.
Yeah, I wrote it on top.
Cool. Do you just tutor maths?
Oh, actually, I tutored physics as well.
Oh, true. Oh, I saw there was a.
But that's
You go.
yeah.
You go. You go. What were you
Yeah,
saying?
I only tutored like 1, 2.
Oh. I saw there was a Premier's Award like video. There were like speakers for the.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't watched that.
Did you get like a certificate or something or anything?
You get a certificate for it.
Is it signed by Daniel Andrews or?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Oh, nice. You could have
But
gone.
I didn't get the cutest handshake version of Dan Andrews.
That would have been nice if you saw him in person. Would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, for some reason, yeah. Okay, we got 5 viewers now. So hello to the people who are watching, and we are starting at 8 o'clock.
Just exam 1 today.
Yeah, I mean, like, I know it's holidays, but you probably don't want to stay till like midnight. So exam 1 today. I'm thinking we might do exam 2 of methods and SPESH, maybe in 2 parts in the future. But I want to get through some other subjects first. Hello to Sleepy Pogger. He was here when Alex did his thing, and Alex's name was like Poogers or something.
Yeah.
And Z, yes, you are early because we're starting at 8. This is all the SPESH kids. It'll be interesting. Methods in English usually like a big group, but SPESH is like rather elusive. Wait, did you find the methods exam like harder than usual?
Than usual.
Than like past ones?
Not really. I think it was pretty hard. I definitely found methods harder than SPESH.
Ah.
I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I found methods harder than SPESH, but I thought methods was like quite different. Because like the probability questions, there was like a graph of like a binomial of like a p thing or something, and it was just different type to what I was used to. Ah, sleepy pugger. Oh, my bad. I don't recall referring to you with a pronoun, but all right. She then. Oh, you Chen. Do you have the YouTube open?
Yeah.
See, like you can see Yi Chen jabbing at you.
I try not to Asian.
And Natsuki, I do recommend you do methods because I'm pretty sure like most students do methods because it's like a prereq for a lot of things, and it's just like a standard math subject. Do, 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 do. Oh yeah, what do you do in reading time in exam 2?
I mean, I guess it's pretty standard. I just go for multiple choice first, and then I see every question, and I know like I have a way of approaching it, then I just skip to the next one.
Oh, you do multiple choice first?
Yeah.
In the actual exam? Like when in writing time as well?
Yeah, in writing them as well.
Interesting. And someone who's excited to see you in the chat, Gordon.
Yeah, Neil. Oh, Peter's here as well.
I didn't see. Did he comment something? Oh, is that Peter?
I don't know. It's you, Faye. Oh, maybe not.
No, it is Peter. It is Peter. Yeah. I guessed him last time. He was like, "Who do you
Okay.
think I am?" And I was like, "Yufei." Wait, was Neil in your SPESH or your methods class? Oh, or your not. Yeah, SPESH, methods, or physics class.
He wasn't in my physics or methods class. Probably SPESH.
Itman Zaber. This is a question for you, Gordon.
Any tips for physics EPI poster? Just I don't know. Maybe just the only tip I can give because I don't really remember that. Um, as well as I should probably, but just make sure you got all the details like errors, uncertainties, discussions, like room for improvement. Just elaborate on these parts where like you can really talk about a lot.
Why did they call you GJ? It's like a trend. Oh, probably because of Neil.
Any tip for the physics exam? I guess the physics exam it's really not hard. You just have to be like really meticulous and like take it slow. I recommend.
What did
Make
you
sure you get every question. Yeah, sorry.
what did you have on your notes? I know Chen said he had he had like mostly written explanations, I think. Like those kind of things. What did you have on your notes for physics?
Yeah, the written explanation is what I find like the hardest. Obviously, like the formula's already provided in like the formula sheet, anyways.
Oh, okay. All right, we'll get started then. So, this is Gordon. He is my friend who graduated with me last year in 2020. He's excellent at most like all the subjects, but particularly did well in like the science and the maths, especially maths. So we got 50 SPESH, 50 methods, premiers for both, and also 50 physics. And I mean, all your other scores are really good as well. You got like, what, 47 English, 47 Chem, and 99.95, but probably infer from the scores that was the score. All right, let's go through the exam then.
Okay.
Happy
Yeah.
for you to take it
Okay.
away.
So on to the first question. We've got a differential equations, right? And the first step we do is that we put all the y values on one side and on the x values on one side. So here we've got just one y value here. So we can divide y on both sides. And we get 1 over y dy is equal to 2e to the power of 2x over 1 plus e to the power of 2x dx. And so anything from the left-hand side is pretty easy. So one thing to notice for the right-hand side is if you differentiate the denominator, you get the numerator, right? And so which means this would come in a form of a log. Yep. So just and don't forget the plus c at the end because it's not definite integral. Yeah, and from this step we can try to find what c is from the information given here that y of 0 is equal to pi, which means when x is equal to 0, y is equal to pi. So log e of pi is just equal to log e of 2 plus c, which means c is just log e of pi minus log e of 2, which is log e of pi on 2. Yeah, so now we go back to the original equation and we can tell that log e of y is equal to log e of 1 plus e to the power 2x plus log e of pi on 2. So log rule, right? So we can just times the pi on 2 into the first log, and we get log e of y is equal to log e of pi on 2 times 1 plus e to the power 2x. So now we have single logs on both sides, and we can just take out what's inside the log. So y is equal to pi on 2, 1 plus e to the power 2x.
Sounds good.
Yep, and that's it for question 1. So question 2, we have absolute values, right? So when I do absolute values, I like to split it into 2 scenarios. One scenario is what's inside the absolute value is positive. So in this case, if x minus 4 is positive or equal to 0. So x minus 4 greater or equal to 0, then x is greater or equal to 4, right? And in this case, because what's inside the absolute value is positive, then we can just get rid of the absolute value. So x minus 4 is equal to x over 2 plus 7. And we get x over 2 is equal to 11. So x is equal to 22. So make sure when you get this answer, you check it with the domain. Because here the domain is x greater than 4, and x equals 22 satisfies that. So that's the solution that we want. And then we consider the other scenario where x minus 4 is negative, so it will be less than 0, which means x is less than 4. And when we have a negative value into the absolute value, we got to reverse the sign, right? So it becomes 4 minus x is equal to x over 2 plus 7, which means 3x over 2 is equal to negative 3. And in this case, x will just be equal to negative 2. And again, we check it with the domain because negative 2 is less than 4. That's also a solution that we want. So combine the solutions, we get x equals to negative 2 or 22.
Yeah. So a couple of things I would like to point out with this is that, yeah, like Gordon said, sometimes you get answers. For example, x equals 22. You might get x equals like 3 or something occasionally as an answer, and you have to eliminate it by the domain. So it does happen, scenarios where the domain eliminates answers for you. Secondly, the way I like to think about how to even like have that two scenario case is that you can't really solve anything if you have a modulus in it with the two lines. And the only way to get rid of it is if you know whether it's positive or negative, which is why we have these two cases. And just finally, to check this, you can just sub the numbers back in, which is a good way if you have time to see whether your answers are actually right. Cool. Next question.
Yep. Okay, so question 3 is a probability question, right? So first we need to find the expected volume of a piece of chocolate. So information here, the radius is 0.5 centimeters, standard deviation is 0.1 centimeter, and the mean is 3 centimeters. So the first thing that we need to know is the volume formula for a cylinder, right? So the volume of a cylinder is just equal to pi r squared h, because pi r squared is just the area of the base, and you times it by the height to get the volume. And yeah, so from here, we know that the radius is given to be 0.5. So here I'll just use fractions here, squared. And the expected value of the height is 3. Yeah, so from there we can just deduce that the expected volume should be 3 over 4 pi. And don't forget the units. And here I should probably write that expected volume like this. And yeah.
Sounds good.
The variance of a volume of a piece of chocolate. So the variance of the volume is equal to variance of pi r squared h, right? And here we already know that the radius is just half, so that's equal to variance of 1/4 pi of h. And we know that the h is the only variable here, right? Pi over 4 is just a constant, so we can take it out. And when we take constants outside the variance, we have to square it, so it becomes pi squared over 16 times the variance of h, right? And as we know, variance is just equal to the standard deviation squared. So the standard deviation is given to be 0.1 centimeters. So the variance would just be pi squared over 16 times 0.1 squared. And that's just equal to pi squared over 1600 Tm to the power 6.
Cool.
Okay. The next question, expected surface area of a piece of chocolate. So the expected value of, let's call it S, surface area, is equal to, well, first of all, what's the formula for the surface area of a cylinder? So it's 2 times the area of its base, which is 2 pi squared, plus the circumference times its height, right? So the circumference here is 2 pi r. And the height is just the expected value of height. And that's equal to 2 pi half squared plus 2 pi times a half times 3 is equal to pi on 2. Oh, I'm receiving a message from Maro. Okay, yeah, I'm back. Pi on 2 plus 3 pi, which is equal to 7 pi on 2 cm squared.
Yeah, sounds good.
Why can't I just square the standard deviation to find the variance? Do you mean like, because I don't know the variance of V yet. I have to break it because I only know the variance of H by squaring the standard deviation of H. That's why I have to break it down into variance of H first.
Yeah, that's fine, I think.
Yeah.
I still remember the day last
And
year when the study designs got changed. I like checked it, and then the SPESH, like the whole probability thing was like crossed out. I was like, alright, like interesting year.
okay. So the next question, the positions of two particles A and B. Yeah, so if the particles collide after they started moving, that means at a certain time t, let's say t1, the position of A is same as the position of B, right? That's the condition that needs to be satisfied if they collide with each other. So we can just solve that the I component of RA is equal to the I component of RB. And same with the J components. So T1 squared minus 1 is equal to T1 cubed minus T1. That's the first equation that we have. The second equation we have is A plus T1 over 3 is equal to cos -1 of T1 over 2. Yep. So from the first equation, we have T1 squared minus 1 equals to T1 times T squared minus 1. So this is factorizing by grouping. And so we get that. So if I put everything on one side, I get 1 minus T1 times T squared, T1 squared minus 1 equal to 0. Yep. So that equals to 0. That's a perfect square. That's difference of two squares. So I can simplify it down to T1 plus 1 times T1 minus 1. That's equal to 0. So T1 is either equal to 1 or 0.
-1.
1 or -1, sorry. Yeah. And obviously T is a unit of time, right? So T is, as it says, T is between 2 and 0. So that cannot be an answer. Yeah, so at T equals 1, this has to equal that for it to collide. So we have A plus 1/3 is equal to cos -1 of half. And cos -1 of half is just pi on 3. So A is equal to pi minus 1 on 3.
I quite liked these types of questions because they're pretty logical, and I think this is the easiest type. The harder type is when they ask you like the two particles are in the same, like when are they in the same position, or like at what times are they in the same position. So where their paths cross, but it's not necessarily the same time. That's harder. I think this one's quite logical in terms of
Yeah.
that. This is one point in time, and then you just make sort of the x coordinate or the I vector the same, and the y coordinate or the j vector the same. And once you found the answer for the easier side, which was just t1 equals 1, because that's much easier to solve, then you know, and you only have one answer, you know it has to be a correct answer for number 2, because otherwise you wouldn't have a time when they collide. Yeah, so that was my input for that question. Question 5 then?
Yep.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so finding f dash of x, that's just a normal differentiation question. So obviously we have cos to the power of 2 here, right? So we apply the chain rule, we drop down the power, and we have cosine x to the power of 1, and then times the differentiation of cos, right? Which is just negative sign. And then the second part is just negative minus sine of x, and the constant becomes 0.
You want me to write it in?
Yeah, it keeps giving me like syncing message. I don't know why.
Oh, it's fine. Just it'll be. Oh, whoops. Yeah, it's fine.
That should be fun.
Yeah. One thing I'll note.
You can simplify this. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure you can simplify 2 cos x sine x to sine 2x, but yeah, I wouldn't do that because it's kind of a like there's no point to doing it unless they ask you, unless you need it to like solve some kind of equation later. But I just wouldn't do it because it's like an extra step or a mistake might happen.
Yeah. So these sort of simplifications, if they don't ask you to do it, then you wouldn't lose mark for not doing it. Yeah. So the next question, we're just finding the turning points, which are located where f dash of x is equal to 0, right? So essentially, we're just solving for f dash of x is equal to 0. So looking at this equation, we can factorize sine x out and the negative if you want. So f dash of x is equal to times 2 cos of x plus 1, right? And that's equal to 0. So either sine of x is equal to 0 or 2 cos x plus 1 is equal to 0 because we factorize it. Yeah, so remember to keep in mind the domain. For what values of x is the sine of x equal to 0? Well, any multiples of pi, right? So the only one here is x is equal to pi. And here we can simplify a bit more. So cos of x is equal to negative a half. And the answers we get from that is just 2 pi on 3 and 4 pi on 3. And remember that we're finding the coordinates, right? So we have to sub it back into x. So f of pi is equal to so cosine of pi is just negative 1. So 1 minus 1 plus 1, that's equal to 1. And f of 2 pi on 3. So what's cosine of 2 pi on 3? Well, we already know cosine of 2 pi on 3 is negative a half, right? So it's just negative a half squared plus negative a half plus 1. And that's equal to 3 over 4. Yeah, and the same thing, it should be the same thing with f of 4 pi on 3 because they have the same cosine value of negative a half, right? So we're just essentially using this again. So remember to write everything out in coordinates form after you finish your calculations. So we have pi on 1, 2 pi on 3, and 3 on 4, and 4 pi on 3, and 3 on 4. So if you're unsure about your answers, you can just look at a graph and see like approximately if your answers are in the right spots.
Yeah.
Yep,
So
sounds good.
with this question, I think I want to say something about the like the special forms, like sine of 2x equals 2 sine x cos x. My tutor's recommendation for me was that you should be able to recognize things. For example, I saw 2 cos x sine x, and I think to myself, this looks familiar. It looks like something that can be simplified further, if I had to. But you don't really have to memorize them exactly because you have the formula sheet. And I do recommend you refer to the formula sheet when there's stuff like cos of 2x or sine of 2x. It just reduces your chances of making a mistake because you just copy it to basically 0. But you don't have to like memorize them. You can just be able to recognize them and then use the formula sheet to help you figure out what exact one you're using.
Yep. Okay. So on to the next question. We're sketching 1 over f of x. And so there's points that we can label. So obviously we have to label the endpoints, right? So the endpoint value is 3, so it should be 1 on 3. So, well, each block is 0.2, so it should be somewhere around here. And we did the same for the other side. We just label this 2 pi, 1/3. 0, 1/3. And obviously, when y equals to 1 is where they intersect, right? Because 1 is same as 1 over 1. So this should be a point on the graph, this should be a point on the graph. And this should be a point on the graph. And yeah, so if you just look at different intervals, we can deduce that because for this interval, the f of x is dropping in its value, so 1 over f of x will be increasing its value. So it will look something like this. And it's symmetrical on both sides. And so the one thing to remember for when you're drawing like reciprocal graphs is that the turning point coordinates don't change. So because we have a turning point here, there will also be a turning point at this x value for the reciprocal graph. And yeah, so there's a turning point here as well. So this should be a turning point. So because this is somewhere looking like, yeah, so the coordinates that we found before was 3 on 4. So there should be a coordinate where it's 2 pi on 3 and 4 on 3, right? So it should be somewhere around here as well. And that will be a turning point. Yeah, and one more thing is just when you're drawing reciprocal graphs, the minimum becomes the maximum and the maximum becomes the minimum. And yeah, so don't forget to label the turning point. So this should be pi 1. And this point should be 2 pi on 3, 4 on 3. And that point should be 4 pi on 3, 4 on 3. Yeah, I guess that's all the points you have to label.
Yeah. So I said this in methods as well. Usually
Turning point and end point.
Yeah, usually with these questions, they get you to like label some stuff. Sometimes they might mention intersection points or something like that. And I usually like reread it and just like tick it off just to make sure I've done it. All right, question 6 then. Oh, this thing, yeah, linearly dependent. It's like
So when we have 3 vectors that are linearly dependent, it essentially means that we can express one of the vectors as a linear combination of 2 others. What that means is basically A is equal to, say, any factor m or any scalar m times b plus any scalar n times c. Yeah, so here we want to find the value of B so that it's linearly dependent, right? Which means A can be expressed. A, which is probably right. A 2, negative 3, 4 is equal to m times B, negative 2, 4, negative 8, plus n times negative 6, 2, and D. Yeah, so the first 2 lines we can derive a simultaneous equation. And so if I write it out again, this be 2 equals negative 2m minus 6n, and negative 3 is equal to 4m plus 2n. And yeah. So how do we get rid of m? We can just do, so say if this was equation 1 and this is equation 2, then 2 times equation 1 plus equation 2 is this equal to I'll probably just say equal to, actually. Yeah, so what we get from this is negative 10 n is equal to 1.
Is it lagging out again?
Yep. Okay, yeah. I'm good now.
Alright.
Yeah, okay. Which means that n is equal to negative 1 over 10. And yeah, and we can find m from that as well. M is just equal to, so 4m plus minus 2 over 10 is equal to negative 3. So 4m is equal to negative 28 over 10. So m is equal to negative 7 over 10. And yeah, so now we sub it into the third equation, right? So 4 is equal to negative 8m, which is equal to negative 7 over 10, plus n, which is negative 10, times d. So I put d on the other side, then I have 1 over 10d is equal to 56 over 10 minus 4. That's equal to 16 over 10. So d is equal to 16.
Yeah, nice. What I would contribute to this question is that just to sort of understand this a little bit more in terms of what you're doing with linear dependence, essentially what you're saying is that like a multiplication of so one particular vector, let's say this is a. Let's say this is a. You're saying that, you know, some multiplication of b plus some multiplication of c can get you a. Because when you say two vectors are the same, essentially you mean that they have the same like starting point and same ending point. Whoops, I'll scroll up a little bit. Yeah. So essentially you're saying if I lengthen this out and I lengthen this out, I can essentially get a. Which is how it helped me remember the formula. And just for setting out, Gordon's way is much easier than how I used to do it. Which is, yeah. I did it probably the way some of you guys are doing it, where you don't turn it into a matrix. You just sort of write MA. Let me scroll up a bit more. Plus, actually no, I would go the other way. So, yeah. A equals MB plus NC. And then essentially I'd write out like, let me scroll. And then, yeah, etc. And then I'd equate coefficients that way. But matrices, I think, is faster. And once again, for this question, you can just sub in D and see if, like the K component is the same on, like the A component, the K component of the left-hand side is the same as the K component of the right-hand side. And you can sub in D. And if it's the same, then your answer will be right. Yeah, question 7 then.
Yep. Yeah, you can also sub in n and m in the first equations to check as well, if you're feeling unsure about your answer. So yeah, so for question 7, we're converting Cartesian form into polar form, right? But what that essentially means is that, say if I had a coordinate axes of imaginary and real axes, and I had a point of 3 minus 3 and minus root 3i, then it's essentially asking for what's the theta here and what's the r here, where r is the length of that line, right? So here I should probably label that this is the y value, this is the x value, and the x value being 3 and the y value being root 3. So it's pretty obvious from this point that we can just use Pythagoras to find the length of r. And that's the formula for r, which is just root of x squared plus y squared. And in this case, it will just be 9 plus 3, so root 12. Yep, and that can be simplified into 2 root 3. Yeah, so that's r. But how do we find the theta? Well, the theta is just equal to, so the method I use is I just find theta using tangent, theta is equal to tangent -1 of y minus x. But I have to pay attention to the quadrant as well if I'm doing this method, because I can have x and y value being here and x and y value being here. And they will have the same tangent value because tangent has a period of pi, right? Yeah, so I have to choose between these two answers by looking at which quadrant it's located in. Yeah, so in this case it'll be tan -1 of -1 over root 3. And that will give me answer of pi on 6 or not pi on 6. Negative pi on 6 or 5 pi on 6, right? They both have the tangent value of -1 over root 3. So how do we choose? Well, we know that 3 minus root 3 is somewhere in the fourth quadrant, right? And only this angle will give me something in the fourth quadrant. This will be in the second quadrant, so that's the answer we choose. So theta must be equal to negative pi on 6. And I can just write this as 3 cis of negative pi on 6 QED as required.
An alternative to doing it the way Gordon did it, let me just scroll up a bit. So essentially you can treat it as just like a normal triangle. So you'd say, tan of theta equals, what was it, 1 on root 3. Right, and theta just equals pi on 6. And then you say fourth quadrant. You'd probably use a different letter here, actually. Maybe alpha. And then quadrant, therefore, theta equals negative pi on 6. And yeah, you can go that way as well. So, like that.
Yeah. So another way that you can do it is, I'll write it on the top here. So obviously cis can be expanded into cos plus sine of I, right? So essentially, because we already know that it's in the form of 2 root 3 cis of theta, and that can be expanded into 2 root 3 cos theta plus 2 root 3 sine theta I, right? So that should be equivalent to 3, and that should be equivalent to negative root 3. And you get this simultaneous equation here, which would give you the answer of negative pi on 6 as well.
Yeah. That works too.
Yep. So on to B. So here we got to apply the De Moivre theorem because doing powers on complex numbers is a lot easier if you convert it into polar form first, right? Yeah, I guess that's why it's linked to the first question as well. So we can just do, so that's equivalent to 2 root 3 cis of negative pi on 6 to the power of 3. And based on the De Moivre theorem, we can just simplify this to 2 root 3 to the power of 3 cis of negative pi on 6 times 3. So here that's equal to, so 2 to the power of 3 is 8 times 3 root 3 cis of negative pi on 2. And when we do this, we have to make sure that the argument is within its domain, right? So the argument of any z has to be between pi and negative pi. Yeah, so it's inclusive here but not inclusive here. And yeah, so negative pi on 2 satisfies that. So which means we can write it as 24 root 3 cis of negative pi on 2. And I like to interpret this graphically, right? So when theta is negative pi on 2, or any factors of pi on 2 actually, I can just tell that it's
Vertical.
I can just tell, yeah, it's vertical and thus equal to negative 24 root 3i. If you don't like doing this, you can just expand this as cos of negative theta 2 plus sine of negative pi on 2 I, which will give you the same answer because cos of negative pi on 2 is 0.
A surprising thing about this question is that like you don't actually have to use the like polar form because they've given such a small what do you call it, a small power. Polar form's much better, but in terms of like if you want to check your answer or if you're really struggling with polar form, then you can just expand it as well.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess that's with the same idea with the next question because when we talk about 3 minus root 3i to the power of n, this is equal to 2 root 3 cis negative pi on 6 to the power of n. And using the Mohr theorem, again, it's just 2 root 3 to the power of n cis of negative pi on 6n. And how do we find the values of n which this value is real? Well, that's when the complex component is equal to 0, right? So if we expand this as 2 root 3 power of n times cos of negative root 6 pound 6 n plus sine of pound 6 n I, we want n such that this value is 0, right? Because when this value is 0, then the complex component will be equal to 0. Then we're only left with the real value. And essentially, yeah, so we're essentially solving for sine of negative pound 6 times n is equal to 0. That's just finding the general formula. And yeah, so we can deduce that n is, because we want to make what's inside sine a multiple of pi, right? Because as a multiple of pi, the sine value is equal to 0. So we can just tell that n is equal to 6k, where k is a component of the integers.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so for the next one, we're just finding n such that 3 minus root 3i to the power of n is equal to ai, right? Which essentially just means that there's a real component this time. And how do we find that? We're just essentially looking for, because we can just write this as the same expression as up there. It's equal to 2 root 3 power of n cos negative pi on 6n plus sine pi on 6 n I. And this time we want the real component to be 0. So we're essentially solving for cos of negative pi on 6n is equal to 0. And if we look at the unit circle, cos is equal to 0 when it's this point or this point. So when angle is equal to pi on 2 or pi on 2 plus k pi essentially. Because cos is just the x value. So we have n is equal to 6k plus 3. Where k is any integer. Yeah, so or we can just do, to make it more clear, we can just do pi over 6n is equal to 2k plus 1 times pi on 2 essentially. Because 2k plus 1 pi on 2 corresponds to this one and this one. And then, yeah.
Once
which
again,
means,
you go, my bad.
yeah, just which means 1/3 of n is equal to 2k plus 1. So n is equal to 6k plus 3.
Yeah, once again, you can just sub in a bunch of numbers to see if your answer's right. in the end. If you want to check, it's a bit of work for 1 mark, but it's the way it is.
Yep.
Right, next question then.
Obviously, like
Oh,
it's a 1 mark question, so you don't have to like write all of this out. Like they're just looking for an answer here, but yeah, I just read this to explain, but it's okay. Yep. So next one, yeah, finding the volume of solid revolution. Okay, so when we are rotating about the x-axis, we have to, the formula is the volume is equal to pi, the upper terminal to lower terminal, and then y squared dx, right? That's the formula. And here we can just deduce that y squared is just getting rid of the square root. So it's just 1 plus 2x over 1 plus x squared. Yep. Yeah. So it looks like a pretty complicated anti-diff question, but I guess when you have two terms at the top, you can always try like breaking it into two parts to see if it becomes easier. So we've got 1 over 2, 1 over plus x squared dx plus 1 over 2 2x. And we realize that after doing this, we have two fractions in the form that we actually recognize, right? The first one is just the anti-diff of tan. The diff of tan, sorry. Tan negative 1. And the second is a log, because when we differentiate the denominator, we get the numerator. Yeah, so
would you still
we
need
write
pi?
pi here. So
Oh yeah, pi. Yeah.
sorry?
No, I was just gonna say
Yeah.
you need pi. Yeah.
Yep. So I've got tan negative 1 of x here. And we've got log e of 1 plus x squared. Because when we differentiate log 1 plus x squared, we just get 2x, which is on the top. Yeah, from 1 to 0 as well. So you can just put, I can just put pi outside. And we get tan negative of 1 minus tan negative 1 of 0 plus log e2 minus log e1. So that's equal to pi on 4 minus 0 plus log e of 2 minus 0. Because log e1 is just 0. e2 times 0 equals to 1. Yep. That's equal to pi squared on 4 plus pi log e2. And don't forget to write units cube at the end.
Nice. Yeah, I have nothing to add with that. We just go to the next one.
Yeah, okay. The next one is a dynamic question, and we have a string. So when I do this question, I have to label the forces first. So obviously you got a mass of m here, so the gravitational force will just be mg. And obviously there's tension force going both ways, but because they are essentially the same string, there's like a ring here, right? So which means the tension force will be equal. Yeah, so we're trying to find T, and the information we know here is that because it's in an equilibrium, like nothing is moving, then the upwards force will equal to the downwards force, and the force towards the left equals the force towards the right. Yeah, so we can just break this tension component into two parts, right? Break into two parts, and this angle will just be A because it's alternate angles with this angle. Yeah, so because sine of A, so this diagonal component is equal to T, and let's say the vertical component is H, then sine of A will be equal to H on T, which means which means H should be equal to sine A of T. Yeah. So this should be sine A of T, and from that we can deduce, because the same force going that way. There's a sine A of t going upwards here as well. So we can essentially deduce that 2 sine A of t is equal to mg, right? So the force going up is the same as the force going down. Which means t is equal to mg over 2 sine of A.
Yeah, good. I mean, when I see this question, it's just like you got to find a way to relate m, g, and a, and the only way you get mg in there is if you look at the vertical forces of t, which is why you sort of had I would figure out how to approach the question. Is there? Yeah, there's a part B. I think it's all the way at the bottom. Bottom and then the left.
Yeah. I got it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so there's pretty much the same idea with this question, except there's a force F as well, right? So what we can deduce from equating the upward force and the downward force, like the same idea, if there's, because this is the same string, we got a t going this way and t going that way, right? And essentially the vertical component is just equal to sine of 2b times t, based on the logic explained before. And the same thing here, the upward force is t of sine of b. And so we can deduce that t sine of, so mg, the force going down, is equal to the two forces going up added together. So t sine of b plus t sine of 2b. And so how do we go from here? Well, we know that the answer only requires, puts everything in terms of b, right? So we should probably expand this and write it as plus 2 sine of b cos of b times t. Yeah, we could probably take the sine out as well. Okay, now we need to figure out what f is, because that's what the question asks for. Well, because it's in equilibrium, the extra information we have is the force towards the left is equal to the force going towards the right, right? So here, the force going towards the left based on this tension force is equal to t cos of b. And same thing with that side. Yeah, I guess the explanation for this is you can use the angle thing as I said before, or you can just use the Pythagoras of t squared sine squared 2b plus t squared cos of 2b. This is equal to t squared. And yeah, and that's equal to hypotenuse squared, because sine squared plus cos squared is equal to 1. Yeah, so from there we can tell that f, the force going left is t cos of v, and the force going right is equal to f plus t cos of 2b, right? So f is just equal to t cos of v minus t cos of 2b. Yeah, so again, we want to put everything in terms of b. Probably put t outside as well. So that's going to be minus 3 cos squared b minus 1, based on the double angle formula. And that is just equal to t negative 2 cos squared of v plus cos of v plus 1. And we want to somehow relate f to mg, right? Because the answer requires us to prove that f equals mg times this. So what I really want is I want to factorize this so that it's so one of the factors is equal to that. And I can just so obviously I want to put cos of b on one side and negative cos b on the other side. I want to put plus 1 here so that it matches this. Then this will have to be x plus 1. And does this work? Well, we can check if the cos component equals to each other, right? So we have 2 cos b and we have minus cos b here, which is equal to the plus cos b here when we add these together. So yeah, so that's a successful factorization. And yeah, so from here, we can just write that we can just put right hand side, because when we write proofs, we have to equate the right hand side to the left hand side. So the right hand side is equal to mg 1 minus cos of v over sin of v. And we already know what mg is, right? Mg is just equal to t sine of v 2 cos of v plus 1. And then we copy this over, sine of v. And that's equal to, because the sign cancels out, so t 2 cos b plus 1 minus cos of v. And we realize this is just exactly the same as that. So if I put star here, then I can say that is equal to f, which is equal to the left hand side. And I specified this is from star.
Yeah, good. So I think Gordon's thinking was really good then. You just sort of continually think about what you need to get your answer. And the answer's only got betas in it. And if, for example, let me write on this. Like here, you'd want to factorize it because you have this 2 cos beta plus 1 higher up. So they can cancel out when you sort of sub in. If you want to sub in t, then they cancel out, which is what sort of happens later here.
Yep.
All right, question 10.
Okay. So find dy dx for the relationship sine x squared plus. Yeah, so for this one, we just have to implicit differentiate it, right? So we have, because we have this relationship here, then d dx of the left hand side, sine of x squared plus cos of y squared will be equal to the d dx of the right hand side, which is 3 root 2 over pi xy. Yep, so when we do d dx of sine x squared, essentially it's just a chain rule. So we can do, so sine becomes cos, and we have to multiply by the differentiation of inside, which is 2x. And the same thing with cos of y. So cos becomes negative sine of y squared, and we have to times that by the differentiation of inside, which is 2y dy dx. And the reasoning here is when we're differentiating y squared, so when we're doing d dx y squared, that's equal to d dy times d dy times dy dx of y squared. So when I do d dy of y squared, that becomes 2y, and that's times that by dy dx at the end. Yep, and then we did the right hand side as well. So that's equal to, so here we have product rule, right? So we just have 3 root 2 over pi of y. When we differentiate the x, and that becomes 1. and we plus that by 3 root 2 pi of x, and then when we differentiate y, it becomes dy dx, or I should say 1 times dy dx. Yep. So now we want to put all the dy dx onto one side, right? So if I just move this to the other side and move this to this side, then I get 2x cos of x squared minus 3 root 2 pi y is equal to sine of y squared, 2y sine of y squared dy dx plus 3 root 2 on pi x dy dx. Yep, and I can factorize dy dx out. Get 2y sine of y squared plus 3 root 2 on pi x. Yeah, and I can just move this to the other side, so dy dx is equal to 2x cos of x squared minus 3 root 2 on pi y over 2y sine y squared plus 3 root 2 on pi x. Yeah, so once we have that, we just have to sub in these values to find the dy dx at this point, right? So that's equal to 2 times x is 2 root pi over root 6. And so x squared is just pi on 6, right? So what's cos of pi on 6? That's equal to pi over 3.
Wait, why do you have x here?
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry?
Why do you have x at this part? Let me draw it. Where was it? Yeah, here. Oh yeah, no, that was. Is that? Oh, my bad. Is it times above it, or is that an x? Oh no, you're right. My bad. I thought it was a multiplication sign.
Yeah. No, it's an x, yeah.
Alright, all good.
So we got cos of pi on 6. So that's just root 3 on 2, actually, sorry. And we got minus root 3 root 2 on pi times y, and y is root pi on root 3. And yeah, so when we're doing this question, because it's kind of complicated, so we just take a slow and 2 times y, which is just 2 root pi over root 3. And we have sine of y squared, so which is sine of pi on 3. This is root 3 on 2 as well. And we have plus 3 root 2 on pi times x, which is root pi on root 6. Yeah, and then we try to simplify everything. So obviously the 2 and the 2 cancel out. The root 3 over root 6 is just equal to root 2. So that's root pi over root 2 minus, so there's a root pi here and a pi here. So that's over root pi. And we have a 3 and a root 3 here. So that's root 3 times root 2, which is root 6. And on the bottom, we have the 2 canceling out, the root 3 canceling. So that's just root pi. And the 3 and the 2 and the 6, so that becomes root 3. And 3 over root 3 is just root 3 over root pi. Yeah, that should be okay.
Yeah, looks good.
Okay, now we need to put it in the form of pi minus a root b. So we want to make this first term pi, and we can just do it by timesing everything in the fraction by root pi, root 2 times root pi. So times root 2 pi over root 2 pi. And that's just equal to pi minus, so that becomes root 12. And the bottom becomes root 2 pi plus root 6. Yep. So we got the first term organized. Yep. So root 12 should be in the form of a root b. So I simplified that to pi minus 2 root 3. And the bottom, yeah, so we want to, so the coefficient of pi is 1 here. So I want to take root pi out, root 2 out, sorry. And then we have pi plus root 6 divided by root 2, which is just root 3. And we check that the b here is just equal to the b here, so we got the right answer, most likely.
Yeah, good. So this is a question I wouldn't check at the end. It's like, I feel like after all that working, if your numbers match, like A is the same as A, B is the same as B, and is in that form, it's pretty unlikely that you did something wrong and managed to get the correct answer. Another thing is also with SPESH, I feel like it gets pretty messy, as you can see, in terms of like there's a lot of working out, and sometimes you might feel like it's messier than it should be, but usually just like persist. As long as each step that you're doing, you're sure like it's a reasonable step and you're doing stuff correctly, then sort of just persist to the end and you should be able to get the correct answer. Like I feel like in methods usually it's like if you get something too messy then you're probably not right, but in SPESH sometimes you just gotta like soldier your way through it. Would you check at the end, Gordon?
Actually, yeah.
Oh, my bad. You go.
Yeah, I was just gonna talk about, because last year we had a methods question which was, I think pretty messy. Like I like did it and I didn't feel like I was getting it right. I forgot was it a SAC or the actual exam though? Do you remember?
Which question are you talking about? The probability one.
It's like no, it was like finding the equation of a line or like a tangent.
I don't remember. I'm pretty sure the SACs
Yeah,
were
that's
all
okay. It's okay if you didn't remember.
It might have been the exam then. I'm pretty sure the SACs there wasn't like anything too complicated.
Yeah.
With checking, do you check it as you go or you just at the end?
Yeah, like I like to do it so that I like pretty much check like every step I do, just so like I feel safe. Like I don't feel like panic. Oh, I haven't checked everything. What if I like made this silly mistake? Yeah. So yeah, I'll prefer checking as you go. But obviously, if I have extra time at the end, I'll just go back and like pretty much like redo every question.
Okay. Right. Fair enough. I think there were some early questions. Let me find them, and then we'll get to the questions in a bit later. So Mustafa asked any methods tips for tricky questions that VCAR use.
I think generally, like when there's like really like hard questions that you can't solve, try to like visualize it by putting, like, say if it's a graph question, then try to visualize it by putting into the CAS and just see like for different values what like graph it returns. Like one of the hard questions I think at the end of the last year was talking about like they gave you like a times x squared or something, like some quadratic, and see like you don't really know like how the graph's gonna look like based on how a changes. Yeah, sorry, it wasn't a quadratic, it was like more complicated. It was like a quartic or something like that. So what I did with that question, I just subbed in different values of a and see like what sort of graphs make sense and get an answer based on that.
Yeah, I agree. Some questions that are pretty hard are the ones where like you have I don't know what it's called, but like the number that varies, like you have like a in there or something.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, if
Yeah.
it's a
You have a
maximum.
function that varies, yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a thing called slider in CAS, and sort of playing around with that sort of helped. Sometimes you find that like turning points might disappear because they become outside of the domain, or things that you don't really anticipate. So drawing it out and seeing it how it changes is pretty useful. A lot of people just like fake a JIN. Jackson asked, did you find special exam time pressured?
Um, I I think I don't think I've found the special exam time pressure at all. Like I might have found the methods ones kind of time pressured, but not for the SPESH because the questions in SPESH then like kind of repetitive. Like you kind of know what's gonna like it's really straightforward as well. Like you can just read the question and know what you're gonna do, or you just don't know what you're gonna do. It's like you know or not. So I didn't spend a lot of time like interpreting what the question meant. I guess that's why it's not like time pressured.
Definitely last year as well. I thought the exam wasn't that hard. I guess when you guys do the 2021, you'll see that like there was no question that you have to interpret or you have to think a bit for. Whereas it was sometimes the case for past exams. But for that one in reading time, I looked at it. I was like, I can do all these questions, but I just made some like silly mistakes and stuff. So I didn't end up doing extremely well. A guy's username is methods. Oh, a person's username is methods, and they're asking in year 10 doing unit 1, 2 methods. Any tips on SACs and exams?
I guess for 1, 2 is sort of you just get the experience with the taste of methods. The content for methods is really similar for 1, 2, and 3, 4. So it's really worth it to like I guess like go over all your SACs or exams and see like what you understand and what you don't. Just make sure like if you understand everything, then methods becomes like a whole lot easier. And you don't really have to because once you understand it, you really don't have to memorize anything.
Yeah, maths is good in that regard. You don't have to like rote learn anything or do flashcards every couple of days because it's like deriving. If you understand how it works and you've done a lot of questions, then you're not really going to forget it. A lot of comments that show affection for you, Gordon, from Josh, Ian. Julian, yes. I didn't know you did SPESH as well. I don't know who Jashi is. Do you know who that is?
Jashi, no idea. But Julian was Chinese school, right? From Chinese school.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You would know him too. Yeah, yeah. I knew him from Chinese school. Was he in your class or?
Yeah,
Alright.
yeah, he was in my class.
He got 99.95 as well. Did you know?
I don't know, but now I know.
Yeah, yeah. He got 50 English. And yeah, 99.95. Okay. Ace, how many SPESH exams did you guys do?
Uh, I think I did less SPESH exams than methods, so probably um like 15 or 20.
Yeah, I did all the VCAR ones. So that would make, what, 2006 to 2019, like 14. Plus maybe 6 extra exams, like company ones. Honestly, I got pretty like demotivated doing company ones because like when I did them, I remember thinking to myself like this doesn't seem very VCAR like, or this isn't like that important because sometimes the exams are a bit weird. So they weren't like
Yeah,
strictly done, but the VCAR ones I did like properly, like I sat down and all that kind of thing. And Akan asked us, what was your study timetable like?
Um, so I actually remember like the few weeks before the exam, I was like doing exam paper. Like I had like a study group with my friends, and we just like do like papers every night for like a few weeks, I guess. So that's like my main practice for like subjects like math or physics. And yeah, so it was like 2 3 hours every night, maybe a bit of chatting, talking as well as like doing questions.
Was this with Sam and Nick?
Yeah. Sam and Nick, yeah.
Yeah. My exam study timetable. I didn't really have a timetable. Like I just knew there were things I wanted to work on. And I found like one thing is just go with your gut. Like some subjects just take more effort than others. Like maths, because of the sheer number of practice exams you have to do, that takes a lot of effort. English, while each exam you spend a lot of time on, I think overall I didn't spend a ton of time on English because like there's only so much you can do. Latin, I spend a lot of time on. Chinese, I think Gordon might know from like year 11. You have to spend like a lot of time. It just demands it. Otherwise, you're not. To feel the same amount of prepared for every subject, you have to put in different amounts of work. So I didn't really have a timetable. I just worked so that I felt the same level of comfort with each of my subjects. And some subjects just took longer to get there. What did you each score in the special exam? So I dropped, I think, 2 marks in exam 1 and like 7, 8, 9, somewhere there for exam 2.
Yeah, so I dropped 1 overall, but I can't like really remember which section it was.
I think it was section 1 from what you told me. From
Yeah,
what I remember.
maybe.
Might have been section 1. Yeah. How many exams do you do in term 4 holidays? Okay, I'm not sure whether you mean like these holidays or you mean like the period after term 4 before exams. But these holidays, did I do a lot? I think I did like maybe 4 maths exams, like 4 sets. So exam 1 and exam 2. Because my tutor had like a timetable. And I think around this time, some weeks we would have 2 a week, especially in the holidays because you have more time. I didn't do any much methods prep. I didn't do any chem prep. English, I think I did maybe a couple text, like couple single section essays. And yeah, not many like exams for other subjects. A little bit for England as well. How about you,
Yeah,
Gordon?
I guess for me, like I'll probably like spend like I can't really remember, but I probably like spent like at least 1 hour on exams every day. Yeah,
Do you remember like
or throughout the holidays.
do you remember what subjects you like the most of your exams were for? Or was it evenly split?
Yeah, it was definitely like not. It was like definitely more SPESH or methods orientated. Like the others were much less.
Oh, what about physics? How many did you do for that?
Um, say like 10, like because the physics exams are kind of repetitive in my opinion.
Wait, for methods and SPESH, did you do all the VCAR ones, or did you only do from like, say, 2010 or something?
I didn't do all the VCOs. I did like yeah, probably from like around 2010. But I did a lot of like companies as well
Oh, okay.
because I felt like they were like a bit harder. So yeah,
The classic question. I mean, I feel like it's more useful when you ask. I don't know. Gordon, give your opinion on what you think, and then I'll give you my opinion on what I think. Do you see the question?
and so yeah. I definitely don't think I'm naturally smart. Like I would say maybe half of it is because of hard work, and half of it is because I'm doing like targeted practice. Like the way I'm doing it is like actually benefiting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Gordon's definitely both. I think he's definitely like very naturally smart and like talented in the fact that like I think most people who get a high ATAR, you need like you're pretty naturally smart. But I also think naturally smart is like not that true of a thing. I feel like when you're young and like the habits you build, and the curiosity that you have sort of bodes well for your future. I feel like it's just naturally smart just means like you started earlier or you had better habits from you when you were younger. Like Gordon asked a lot of questions. Like we play badminton and stuff, and he like asked questions. He's like, I remember the question you asked me where it's like, how come you have to like swap sides like every serve? Like how come you're on like opposite sides? And it like made me think. So I think that like
Yep.
natural curiosity, is something that's like a habit for him, and I think that comes under sort of naturally smart, and definitely he works hard as well. Otherwise, you wouldn't do like that well. Kaz tips for special exam. Kaz tips for special exam. Vectors, I guess you can use matrices. What else? Oh yeah, you should probably learn a lot of the things. Like I was less confident with SPESH Kaz than I was with methods Kaz. But I definitely recommend like practicing the shortcuts. Like I think menu 49 is something to do with vectors, but in terms of like just being quick at it, finding magnitudes and that kind of thing. What do you think about Kaz and like being quick for exam 2?
Yeah, I guess like obviously when you use more CAS, then it becomes natural that you're like typing everything much faster. But I also feel like um CAS isn't the really thing that determines how fast or how slow you do the exam. It's more like understanding that saves the time.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't really think of it that way, but that now that I think about it, like, yeah, that makes sense. I think CAS saves a little bit of time with those. Some people have like special shortcuts and stuff, but it's not like the main point. Akan also asked who was your tutor and when did you start doing exams? For me, my tutor was this guy
Um,
called Derek Ha, and yeah, he's still doing tutoring now. I highly recommend him. He's a very good tutor, and I started doing practice exams from July. I don't remember. I think it was mid to late July. He started like telling us to do practice exams.
yeah, so for me, I went to like our tuition. Uh, and yeah, so we would have like class like every Sunday or something. And I guess yeah, I'll recommend it as well because like um yeah, yeah, not because I work at RL, but like the way like that they teach, I feel like is very good. Um, if you like make a lot of mistakes, like they like always like find ways to catch you out, so that like when you are doing the actual exam, you're like kind of used to it. Yeah, you can like spot the traps.
Yeah, that's
And when did I start doing exams? I'll probably say like um around like term 3, where like most of the content is like already finished.
yeah. I think maths was the subject where I sort of not really worked ahead, but I think maths is the subject even at school for us. So we went to the same school. You finish like relatively early in terms of content, and also because we were on pace. I remember our teacher like reinforcing to us that we were on pace even if nothing got taken off, and our entire statistics got taken off. So that saved us a lot of time as well. And our exams were delayed, so statistics was taken off plus exams delayed. Will you do an exam 2 live stream? Yes, I think I will. Like Chen and Gordon for methods and SPESH. I'll probably split the exam 2s into 2 parts because I feel like it's a little long. And but I do want to get some other subjects like Inglang and perhaps some sciences before that. But yeah, that's the plan. Yeah, I have no clue about this question from Doug. You'll have to help him out, Gordon.
Oh, this one, is it better to most? Yeah, I definitely recommend putting theory responses or like written explanations.
I don't know what a quadratic model is. Is that like just a quadratic formula that for like a population or something like that?
I'm not too sure either. Maybe it's just like sketching quadratics.
Yeah, just elaborate, please, on that question. Did I try for Melbourne High? I don't know if Gordon did, but I know a lot of Scotch kids did in like year 8. We just did it, and then like I got in, and some of my friends got in, but like we didn't go. But yeah, I did try for Melbourne High. How about you, Gordon?
Uh, no, I didn't go.
You know,
Yeah,
like
because like I'm like from China, and like my English is quite weak back in like year 7 and 8. I guess where when you guys tried out for Melbourne High.
I remember the
Yeah, my
biggest
tutor was Ricky. Yeah.
wiki. Yeah, the biggest Luke 2
Yeah.
got into Melbourne High. It was like Luke 2, Doric, me, and probably some other people. But I just remember Luke 2, he got into Melbourne High, and pretty sure he rejected it. But yeah.
But none of you guys went.
Yeah, I think we just had the test because it was like a just a test because they like rank you and stuff. It was just a thing to do in year 8. But the test was like, from what I
Mm.
remember, it's pretty hard. Like it was a whole day thing, and the maths. Maths, I think I did okay. But like I didn't finish. I remember maths, I still had a lot left. I was like doing it really quickly and I got the answers all right, but I still had a lot left. But I still like ended up getting the highest score, like the highest bracket. So it's like kind of a one of those kinds of tests. I-90. Oh, you know, we call him U-90 because he's going to U Chicago. Oh, with the Melbourne High exams. Okay, so I guess that kind of answers it. I didn't do well in writing, I'm pretty sure. I got superior for a lot of the sections, but not writing. I think my writing was a bit cringe back then. Like it was trying to seem cooler than it was, rather than being like actually concrete and substantial. But I do remember like feeling that I didn't do that well in maths. Either maths or reading comprehension. No, reading comprehension probably, I think. I just had a lot of questions left at the end. But I ended up getting superior. It's just like, don't panic. Don't feel like you have to do everything. Just work fast. Try and get the questions you have right. And it's just a ranking. So if you do better than the person next to you, then it's fine. Rather than like a score, like 90% or something. Oh, Jordan. Jordan Quack. I don't even know what you're doing now, Jordan. I'd be happy to hear about it if you let me know. I don't know if you're like doing VC again, so my videos will help you out. Max. Uh, how many with English? Did you just sit the one practice exam at school, like the 3 hour one? Did you just do one of them?
Um, yeah, I guess that's the only one where I properly did like 3 hours of English exam altogether.
I like the more I think about it, the more I like admire myself for doing it. Like it's 3 hours and you're just writing the whole time. Like your hands just like I remember I was like my hand would get pretty stiff, but then I'd move my arm instead of my like fingers. Like it was kind of like just use different muscles. So yeah, it was a tough exam. Mikhail, yeah, I did go to Scotch, but we just like I went to Scotch since prep, but we just sat the exam just to see how we would like stack up with other people. Self discipline tips, Gordon.
So the one thing I really find helpful is like doing work with like your friends. Obviously, they have to be like disciplined as well. They can't be like distracting. Um, yeah, so that's what I did. Like, I found two mates who are like, I knew they were like, um, really academic, really smart, and yeah, we just um found a time to do it together, and that kind of motivated me to like, so like, if we said we're gonna do work at 7, then I kind of feel bad if I'm just like not gonna go and do something else.
I think that's particularly helpful in lockdown as well for us last year because you kind of like I don't know, kind of not much else to do. And I would say in general, studying with your friends is less productive, but you're more motivated to do it. So it's sort of a trade off. But I guess for exams, like it's not like you're gonna be talking to each other like while you do the exam because it's like a set like time thing. So it is pretty good to do it with friends, and I did it quite a bit. Also, to simulate like doing it with other people because in the exam, you're in like an exam hall. There's like a lot of like 60 other people. Oh yeah, so for this year's GAT, they're like doing like weirdly. It's like social distancing in the classroom. I think they're gonna do it in like different classrooms. The GAT, like 20 kids per classroom or something, which is yeah interesting.
Really? Okay.
Oh, Ray and Lim. Oh, you got a Derek as well. That's so cool. Um, whoops. Where did my live stream go? Yikes. Give me a sec. Oh yeah. What do you go to him for? And please say hi to him for me. I've like chatted to him recently, but I really like him. JJ, what are you studying at uni?
So I'm doing data science in Melbourne Uni right now. So it's sort of like yeah, I'm just taking math or computing orientated subjects mostly.
Yeah, we both would have been for MHS, but I mean, like, yeah, we would have done well for the school, I guess. But also the question is like, if I went to MHS, would I still have gone 99.95? Like, who knows? What else? Or was that someone else? No? Yeah, I got 99.95 video titles. And so did Gordon. Are you at MHS, Mikhail? Because you're year 9, so you'd be in if you applied. Oh, rare. That's pretty cool. Do you know Kimberly by any chance? I think she did methods as well last year. And Mikhail, first 99.95 ATAR. Yeah, I don't think there's many 99.95 YouTubers. There's a guy called Archer. He's in a different state though, but he also got 99.95, I think 2 years ago. There's another question for us. How many hours should you study a day for 99.95?
Um, I guess so. I guess um, it doesn't really matter before year 11, or it kind of does because you have to. So before year 11, just make sure you spend enough time so you get on top of everything. Like you have a like good understanding or good foundation. And yeah, I also recommend. So if you're before year 11, you can maybe look into the methods course a bit, like over the summer holidays. But otherwise, make sure you like ramp up your study time as you like become higher, become a year 11 or a year 12 student.
I think legitimately, if you stay on top of your work, like that's if you make sure you understand whatever you've learnt on that day, you stay on top of it, you'll do well. Yeah, that's it. Like I think a lot of people are not on top of their work, and that costs you a lot. Congrats on getting into MHS, Mikhail. It's a very competitive school. Can you do like maths? That's for you from Frank. Go on.
Um, you don't have to do biology is not a prerequisite for data science. I think the only thing you need to do is probably just methods, and that's it for data science. Yeah.
How long did you study for your ATAR? I think that's kind of a hard question to answer. Like I don't even know what it like means. How long did I study for my ATAR? Oh, I mean, low key, like Gordon and I were a little different in terms of the fact that like my GPA was always high, whereas Gordon was like really good at like specific subjects. So I guess for
Yeah.
me, it was like I just had to continue doing what I did. But I guess for you, you sort of had to like pop off in like say like English and some of the other subjects. So how did you like think about that at all?
Yeah, honestly, like I wasn't expecting as much as high because English is sort of like my weakness. But I guess yeah, I guess if you like have my situation, and especially with English because English has to be a top four, so you like have to spend more time on it. I guess. Yeah. So make sure, yeah, just like know that the importance of top four is like 10 times more, um, is 10 times larger than the other two subjects, and just make sure that you really are confident with your top four subjects.
I think a lot of people watching might be in a similar boat with Gordon because you're watching like a spesh. Well, you were watching a spesh like exam, right? So you were probably like very maths orientated student, which means oftentimes English is a weakness. And then if you work hard at English, then you will be able to do really well because your maths is there. Gordon Dog, where's the Canada champion hoodie? How do I get G Dog's good looks? Kaznax. I'm in prep right now. How do I start prepping for VC? That's Will, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So you got to make some good friends. You got to make some friends who are going to America. Some friends who are like really smart, and then you get them to like do the dirty work for you, and then then you get a good VC score. How are you finding the demands of medicine? I feel like I'm still working it out at the moment, honestly. Like, I'm not studying as efficiently as I would like in terms of like, it's pretty tiring studying medicine because the subject's like very, I need to think a lot about stuff, about like the muscles. There's a lot of information, and I don't think I'm doing it in the most efficient way. So, it is a bit difficult to balance, especially with, say, YouTube and stuff, but I feel like I'm getting there. It's much better than semester one, in any case. You guessed the entire test for two of them. Okay. I don't know how you got a superior if you guessed the entire test, but I mean, congratulations on getting all superiors. It's a pretty good achievement, considering that like it's a very competitive test. So there's two conflicting opinions, Gordon. Tom says Gordon literally played League 24/7, and then R90 says, mate, Gordon secretly did like 30 papers. Which opinion do you endorse?
Um, I'd say agree a bit with both.
Fair enough. Yeah. Did you plan out like your league time? Like say like oh every Friday night we're gonna like get on league, or did you just play it like randomly?
Let's play it random. It was more like GC. Then the Discord is like get on, and I just get on.
Okay. It's like Somax. It's getting ordered around. Oh, was Woody in your class? Weems. Was he?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Woody was in my class. Yeah.
Oh, how many practice exams did
Um,
you do for English? Do you want to go first, Gordon?
yeah. Honestly, like I guess it's not really countable because I did a lot of essays, I guess, but not a lot of exams. So the only exam was like the one that's hosted by the school. Yeah. So I didn't really get a taste of like writing 3 hours or three essays in 3 hours until I set the practice exam.
I did two timed 3 hour exams, both with the school. One was sort of optional, but a couple of my friends went into school to do it, so I just did it as well. And I think the two is enough. Like, there's no point doing nine or 10 or something because I feel like the only good use of it is that you sort of learn how to time manage everything and you can sort of feel how much practice you need with your hands because it gets pretty tiring. But I don't think you need to do a ton to figure those things out. And individual practice will will be better at like helping the quality of your essays. How many do I recommend for someone who didn't do well in the stacks? So I recommend just like improving each section. So it's not really doing a ton of exams, but figuring out like why you didn't do well and what's wrong. Like is your expression not clear? And maybe like rewriting a body paragraph and comparing it with what you've written in the past. So like improving stuff rather than just doing the same thing 20 times. And Neil's asking you how are you doing FOA?
Yeah, I'm doing FA. Yeah.
What is it?
It's foundations algorithm. So it's a computing class.
Oh, okay. Is it like optional? Is that why he's asking?
Well, for me it's a core, but for him it probably is optional. I don't know what major he's doing.
Hi. If you're in your first year of medicine at Monash, do you know Shine? Yes, I do know Shine. Yeah, like I know him quite well. Like we see him on campus and say hi and stuff. Uh, Kimberly was in your methods class. Nice. How is Derek doing this year? Is your class going well? Uh, Doug, I think Gordon's probably better placed to answer this question. I will give my input as well, but Gordon's probably the better answer for this one.
Yeah, so how to limit silly mistakes? I guess that it comes it down to like whenever you're doing a paper, you like gotta pay attention to what sort of mistakes you're making, and in doing so, you can like if I'm always misreading a question, then probably like highlight the question or like spend a little more time just to make sure you get every word of the question. If you're like doing a lot of arithmetic mistakes, then you should probably like check your working every step as you go, like even if it's like very simple, because often like when we're doing something really simple, like we kind of autopilot, like we don't really pay a lot of attention to what we're doing, and that's like why we make a lot of silly mistakes. And just like just make sure you're like always aware of what you're doing, even if it's like 5 times 6 or something like that.
Did you have like a logbook of your mistakes or anything, or did you just sort of review your exam after you did it?
I just reviewed it after I did it.
What was your bound reference for SPESH? The textbook? It was the
I
textbook.
didn't have it.
Oh, you didn't have one. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you write pre-planned paragraphs, or were you going into the exam with just your quotes? Look, how do I say this? As you prepare, obviously you have paragraphs because you have to write practice essays. But in terms of like, say, I'm preparing for a prompt that I've never seen before, in terms of mass revision, I wouldn't write a full paragraph. I just wrote like my topic sentence, and usually it'd be similar to something I've written before, so I kind of know what moments I'm going to talk about. I wouldn't bother fleshing out the paragraph because I know what I'm going to write. I have a friend who did have pre-prepared paragraphs, and he didn't do as well as he wanted to in the end of your exam. Like he legitimately like memorized paragraphs. Me, I didn't do that. I feel like when you construct your paragraphs carefully, and I talk about this in my latest video about how like having a structure, because you got to prove something, so you need a structure to prove it. And you have to do that for similar paragraphs because there's only so many themes they can test you on. It sort of sticks in your head a bit more. And so I wouldn't say like specifically go there and memorize paragraphs unless you feel very insecure. But maybe memorize some good sentences and pieces of analysis. I know Gordon did like he improved a lot in English throughout year 12 to get like a really good study score at the end. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth it to have like pre-planned paragraphs. Like I think what Alex did is also really good at English. Had like a detailed plan for like different types of questions that the examiner can throw at you, and I guess that gives you the confidence. So like at least you know like the structure of your essay, so that you don't really panic
Yeah.
when you get your prompt.
Yeah. So Alex, he was in my last live on English, and him and I did spend a lot of time like brainstorming topics in addition to ones I'm sure he did by himself. My friend got all high average on the test. Does he still have a chance he couldn't get a good ATAR? So I don't really know what high average is. I know some schools give you brackets. I know some schools like don't even give you your ranking or your SAC scores, which I think is kind of weird because you don't learn anything. And I feel like they're trying to like handhold you too much. But yeah, so high average, I think the fact that it's like high average means that he still has a chance of getting a good ATAR because it seems like a decent SAC bracket to have. Yeah, I know Shine, and I know he went to MHS. Like he was captain of MHS last year. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Like I feel like it's weird that some schools do that. In terms of just not giving you your scores. You don't learn anything in that case. Which is kind of sad. I think Gordon just has something on for a little bit. It's fun. Did you purchase Derek's VC methods or SPESH books? He was my tutor, so no, I didn't purchase his books. For methods, I didn't really know about him when I did methods in year 11. And in year 12, yeah, he was my tutor. So I had all his resources and stuff. So there's no point in me buying his books. I did buy his Ing Lang essay book though. Yeah, Gordon, were our practice exams? They weren't in the holidays, right?
In the holidays. I think they were in the holidays, weren't they? They were, it was either holidays or weekend because like we didn't have class, right?
Yeah, I think it might have been weekend because I remember coming in on like, oh, maybe it was in the holidays. But I remember, yeah, we had like external people as overseeing our thing. Like we didn't have
Yeah.
teachers, and we were just in classrooms and stuff. Was it holidays? Far out. I don't remember. Yeah. How do you improve your weak areas in your essays? Like just correcting them. I think a really useful way to do that is to rewrite stuff. I feel like so my English was pretty good, so I never really rewrote much. I rewrote like one paragraph once, but usually I didn't do it because I felt like it was too tiring. But if the changes are quite big, and in general it's just quite nice to rewrite a couple paragraphs, maybe from different essays, so you can really actively think about what you're changing. So maybe your sentences are too verbose, and then you sort of change it in a rewrite of the paragraph. So it's really obvious to you what you're changing, and so when you write a new essay, it will be like very consciously in your mind. When you say improve, I'm not sure what that's in reference to. Actually, this might be in reference to Gordon. Well, what were your English scores in year 11?
Um, it wasn't like that bad. I think it would say like B plus at least to A. Like B plus to A level, I feel like.
Gordon's writing's pretty good. It's like fairly clear. It's just, yeah, it was like quite simple and quite clear and straightforward, which is like good, what you want. Does Ricky tutor other stuff, or is it just method SPESH?
Yeah. You mean RL or Ricky himself?
Oh, I see. I don't know. RL then.
RL does. They do a lot. They do IB as well. So they do English, chemistry, physics, method, SPESH, like even like pre VC math, like all the way down to like year 5 or something like that.
Dang, big business.
Yeah.
Gordon was like an A student and he popped off in year 12. Yeah, I don't think you. Did you do that well in the sax? I don't think so. Oh, you did.
I did alright. I did alright, but not like very good.
Were you top 10?
Yeah, I thought like I don't think I'm top 10. Like I'd say like I thought I was like somewhere around like 20.
Ah, okay. Yeah, so you did better than like your sack would indicate, I guess. Because, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about Mango's question?
Did you guys average B just consistently? No. So my SAT scores are like I guess like fluctuating between A and A plus, I guess.
It's year 11, I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
is there yeah. And in year 11, I guess I was fluctuating between B plus and A. So it wasn't like that big of a difference, but it's still a difference.
Yeah, in year 11, okay, surprisingly, year 11 was my, oh no, I don't know if it's surprising. It was my worst year, academically. Especially in SPESH and I think Chem in certain aspects. Because I focused too much on my 3 4s. and plus the SPESH content is a bit dodgy in year 11. So I think it required a bit of time to do, and I didn't really spend that time on it. So my scores weren't that good. So I got I think a couple B's in year 11. Um, and yeah, but like English and stuff, just pretty high scores. And year 12, yeah, constantly A pluses. So rank wise, I was ranked 2 for I think 4 of my subjects, and like rank 4 for like another one or something. But yeah, around that mark. Um, why I think that happened? I guess my only problem was SPESH, and the content's quite different in year 12, and I had a good tutor, so I was able to focus quite well. But I would say don't worry about like struggling. Just try and get a little bit better each day. And if you're not in year 12, like it's not really end game yet. Mikhail, are my grades good? 90 plus on everything. Yeah, I mean that's pretty good. Like depends on the difficulty of stuff and how they allocate it. But 90 plus is fine. Did you Tom, were you in Alan's class in year isn't it
Year 10.
Year 10, yeah.
Yeah, I was in Alan's class in year 10.
And you got 19.
Is Tom Ripley year 10? Yeah, I got 19 for the final exam of year 10.
Dang. I think we did rabbit
I
proof
think
fence.
yeah. No, I did that as well.
Oh, what was year 10 then? Year 10 was Macbeth plus like something else.
Rabbit proof fence was probably year 9. Yeah, rabbit proof fence was year 9.
Oh no, year 9 was Macbeth. Yeah, year 9 was Macbeth, I'm pretty sure. No.
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah. Okay.
The year 9 was Romeo and Juliet. What?
Oh, true. Year 10 was Macbeth, yeah. Year 10 I had DC. Yeah.
Yeah.
Best way to understand a topic and encode the information into your brain. I guess the encode components. Gordon will probably have some insight into that.
I mean, I understand it as if you understand a topic, then it automatically encodes in your brain. Like you just, you don't have to spend a lot of effort memorizing it because you already understand it.
Yeah, so as you learn stuff, I think just make sure everything makes sense in your head. Like you don't have any questions, and if you do have questions, ask. Figure it out in the moment as you learn it, and that will help encode it into your brain. Jashi asked, JJ, have you ever gotten a C?
I remember getting like a 5 out of 10 for an essay in year 8.
You go back to your teacher.
Yeah, so if you look at my grades, yeah. If you look at my grades in year 7 or 8, there's like definitely a lot of C's, but I would say that I never got a C for math though.
That's what matters. For me, just my input on this question. I'm pretty sure the only C, maybe the only C, it's from drama and DesTech. I distinctly remember DesTech. I got a C, and yeah, like the teacher wasn't the most pleasant teacher, and it was, yeah, okay, no comment. But yeah, drama and DesTech in like year 7 and 8 when it was mandatory. Was it difficult to do Eng without doing it in year 11? I don't think so. And from what I've heard from my friends, and what I saw of their exams, like year 11 Eng is not very related to year 12. Just for SPESH, right? I don't really think you need to do year 11 SPESH either if you want to do year 12. But I would say learn the meta language before the year starts. Just find out what they mean. And then, like, yeah, you learn a lot of stuff through year 12. There's a lot of time to learn stuff. It's not like you're that behind. Mango, I think that just comes from better communication with your teacher. You probably really like you should just approach your teacher and ask them that, or ask them to show you what like an A plus essay looks like. I think that will really clarify it for you, Because just from seeing that, I'm confused as well. Samurai side, there's these two people that keep disliking. Okay, I mean, like, there's always people who dislike some of my videos. But if it's the two same people, then I don't know. Like, if you know who they are, I'd be curious. Oh, who was your year 10 teacher?
For English,
Yeah.
Mr. Horton.
Oh, yeah, with Alan.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I had Dr. Collins. I don't remember if it was year 9 or year 10, though. I think it was year 10.
Mine was Mr. Kane. You know.
Alright. Year 9, I think I had Mr. Smith, like the guy with the really deep voice.
Yeah, yeah. I remember.
Yeah.
I had him for like the creative project in year 10. I don't know if you still remember.
Oh, yeah. Like did you do the romance one? Or, no. Yeah.
I think it was like gothic.
Oh,
Yeah, I
yeah.
really like a creepy story.
God. Oh, yeah, I was with DC. I got romantic poems as mine. And I made like a PowerPoint of like romantic poems. And it's like the poems like written in like letters. And there's like very emotional pictures as the background. It was quite interesting. I was with Pat Ziegler. He was like, we would communicate a lot about that. How smart was the smartest SPESH student in your school? What? I mean, Gordon did the best in SPESH in our school, but I don't know. Gordon, do you want to answer how smart you are?
That's a very hard question to answer. I mean, I would say I'm probably a bit like more into like the logical stuff. That's why I might have like an advantage over other people when I'm doing like math subjects. But it definitely is not. It's not. You get the raw 15 special. That means you're the smartest. That's not how it works. You need a lot of target practice and work hard as well.
Yeah, Gordon got 99.95. I don't know. Like, should I put it in the title? Like, how many? I feel like you mention it a couple more times. And yeah, he's studying data science.
Um, yeah, I'm pretty sure I used pen for method search exams because that's just like how I'm used to it. But I like water pencil as well, just in case it's like graph questions, and it becomes really tedious if I draw wrong.
Yeah. With SPESH, I used pencil for because I was just unsure with maths. And with Alan's thing, either guy from Camberwell, I think, got the highest aggregate. But that's just because my subjects scaled a lot. Did any of you participate? Well, I think the stream's a little weak at the moment. It says low connection. Give me a second. I think it's working. But alright, well, we'll just go for it. Did any of you participate in any Olympiads competition? I did ones in primary school because that was just Scotch history, and in like senior school, I did like AMC and some Olympiads and stuff. But once it got like optional, and I realized like I'm not that good at it, I sort of stopped doing it. How about you?
Yeah, I think the only Olympiad sort of thing are AIMO, so Australian Intermediate Mathematics Olympiad. But yeah, I'm also like not the best at these sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's quite different to SPESH. It's like a lot of it's like proofs, problem solving, geometry. Like it's very like it's no right answer. I think you gotta prove a lot of the time. Or There's a guy named Tom Johnston. No. I like searched up everyone who got 9.95 after it came out just to see like what their scores were. But like, yeah, I don't remember a Tom Johnston. As in, like I don't remember everyone who got 9.95, but I just don't know who he is. Do you like GC's question?
Yeah. I'm indeed a gamer, I'd say.
How long did you take to finish physics exam?
Sorry, you sort of cut out, I think. But the physics exam was quite short for me. I think it only took like a bit less than 2 hours to finish it. Yeah, I recommend getting it. I recommend taking your time with physics because really the exam's not gonna be really tight in terms of time.
Oh no, I know Alan's thing now. Raw aggregate. Yeah. I'm pretty sure you got the highest raw aggregate if you just add up like your raw scores. Uh, how does the VTAC round offers work? I'm pretty sure there's like a lot of rounds. Like it's like 4 or 5 or something. But usually like how do I say it? 4 or 5 rounds is for people who are really like close or just like quite below the threshold. If you're above the required ATAR, then usually you just get your first preference if you qualified for it. And first and second rounds is where the majority of people get their offers, from what I know. Do you know who Terrence Tao is, Gordon?
I think he's like a mathematician, or like, yeah, I think he's like a prodigy in like math competitions. Yeah, so I wish Terrence was my tutor, but no.
Yeah, I don't know who any of those guys are, Mikhail. And if Pedia graduated last year, then I don't think, like, how do I say this? I don't, like, highest ever score doesn't really make sense. In terms of aggregate, I'm pretty sure, like, yeah, I really don't know who he is. I can search him up. But in terms of, if you're looking at number of 50s, I know people who have gotten 650s. Like, my tutor for SPESH was someone who got 650s. So I don't think, like highest scorer doesn't quite make sense in that regard. And I don't know who Joe is either. Alexander. Is that Alexander Wood? That'd be pretty cool. Hello, Alex.
Hey, Alex.
Tim Dogan. How quick should I be looking to finish exams? My practice exam. Do you want to answer that? I'll search up the guy. Pedia. What? Hussein.
I feel like so. I guess for section B, you should probably finish around 1 hour 30 minutes or like 1 hour 45 minutes, just so you can have like a bit of time to check. Yeah. So, but in the final exam, just make sure you're like not like stuck on a question for too long because that might not be worth it. But also you shouldn't like see a question you don't know how to do and just skip it. Because the more you skip it, the more you panic. So you should like have a balance, I guess, of how many questions you skip and just like make sure if you skip a question then it's really because you don't understand the expression of the question.
Yeah. Look, with Mikhail, I found the guy, Pdram Hosseini, the guy you're talking about. He wouldn't have gone, like, he might have gone the highest ever at, like, Melbourne High or something, but his raw aggregate would be lower than Gordon's, and his scaled aggregate would be lower than mine, and probably Gordon's as well, so. But, like, yeah, I don't really think it really matters. If you get 9.95, you get 9.95, like, it's, yeah, like, you don't need to be too overly compulsive about it.
Yeah.
Who was the highest scoring? Oh wait, I'll answer Tim's question as well. How quick should I be looking to finish exams? I feel like for me, I feel like you should treat it as the actual exam, and however long it takes you to do that, and however much time you want to spend doing it is how much you should treat it in the practice exam, because it doesn't quite make sense to keep doing something like completely different for your practice exam and your final exam. And with Mikhail, who is the highest scoring student? I think Gordon got the highest, like, I don't know what they call it, but like if you look at the number of 50s and then the next highest score, Gordon got the highest stat. And I think I got the highest, me or this other guy got the highest, like, aggregate, which is if you add up, like, your scaled scores. Dude, Frank just roasted that guy.
Huh?
Look at it, he's like, jeez. Alright. Thoughts on music while studying? What do you think?
Um, I actually don't think I can answer that question because like I like gave up on music pretty early. Like it was like year 9 or year 10. Um, I guess if you're not like allocating a lot of time on music, then I think it should be fine.
One. But I feel like for most people, like, just focus on doing well with what you can do and getting a good ATAR for you rather than obsessing too much over those small things. Like, I think Gordon's really good in that regard. I really like the way he sort of handles himself, um, with despite like his academic success. Thoughts on music while studying? For me, I listen to music a lot, like all around the house and stuff. So oftentimes I would play music if as I study, just because it's what's natural to me. But I feel like I would prefer to study without music. It's just sometimes I'm like a bit bored. And the stream keeps hanging because when I switch tabs, our faces pause. I don't know why, but that's just the way it is. Best order to do the Latin exam, if you still remember. I do remember it. Look, I'm happy to tutor it, and Latin is like a very soft spot for me. Best order to the Latin exam, I would say just in the order it is. So unseen, definitely first. Highly recommended first. Poetic techniques and that, just get it out of the way and then finish with your essay. Finish strong with your essay. That's what I would advise. Yeah, do you see the Herman comments?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Herman,
think Gabriel was logged onto the wrong account.
or I think it's, oh, it is. It is Gabriel's dad. Oh, okay. I thought it might have been like someone with the same name, but I looked at the profile pic. But hello, Herman. Thanks for joining the stream. If you are Gabriel's dad. What's the worst scaled subject? Do you know?
The worst scaled subject. Maybe I'm not too sure. Product design or something like that.
Yeah, I think the folio subjects. If you don't get like a 50, it scales down quite a lot.
Yeah.
Fake a gin. What are the thoughts on the Z buffs?
Um, it's really just jungle buff, so I guess it's irrelevant to me.
And thank you, Sleepy Pogger. I didn't know I hit 1.5k, but I'm very happy to hear that. Oh, I'm thinking of doing a Q&A like poll thing when there's like when it gets close to exams. Maybe like an hour, a month out, not an hour, a month out from the English exam. I might send out like a poll or something. George, be very, very careful with what you say. How many practice exams a day were you doing across all your subjects this time of the year?
I'll say like at most like one per day, and at least probably like 2 or 3 a week.
Yeah, I would agree with that. One a day. I don't think I ever did one a day. Or maybe it averages out to one a day, but it's sort of like yeah, like you just do as many as you want to feel comfortable and like space it out so you don't like get really tired because you want to get some other revision in as well, not just like practice exams. I listen to both music with lyrics and music instrumental. But I guess Gordon doesn't listen to music.
What would you say?
Someone asked, do we listen to music that's instrumental or lyrical? I said I don't listen. I said I listen to both.
Oh, okay, yeah. For me, it's like the lyrics mainly.
Herman. What do you think about Mikhail's question?
Am I going too far if I'm playing methods in year 9? I would say it's okay to do in year 9, but like personally, I wouldn't think there's a need to do in year 9.
Yeah, I agree. I think it depends on when you're sitting the exam. Like, if your school has deemed you as doing the exam earlier, because I know like there are people in year 6 who have done like methods, right? But like that's because the school is like, okay, you can sit the exam, the 3-4 in like year 6. So then you'd start doing methods in like year 5 or something. I think you can get started in year 9 if you'd like. But say you're sitting the exam in like year 11, then doing 3-4 early, the benefits plateau a little bit. Oh, you listen to Chainsmokers, Gordon? Do you?
Like a bit. Like I listen to a bit of everything.
No, I like Chainsmokers. Chainsmokers is yeah. Wait, do you know who Jeff is? I feel like he's someone we know, but I'm not too sure.
Yeah, it's possible. Possible.
Oh, legit? Oh, I see him like quite a bit, but I never knew
Yeah,
who
yeah,
he
yeah.
was. Hi. Do you listen to music during chem homework? I don't think I listened to music much in year 12. I've listened to music more this year, but usually in year 12 when I studied, like I didn't feel a need to listen to music. Alright, I think we'll end the stream at like 10:15, 10:20 if there's not that many more questions.
Yep.
Look, I don't know who Heibo Wang is, but I assume he's your tutor. To do foundation. I mean, like, I don't really understand what that means. What do you think, Gordon?
I guess you mean like foundation in math. Uh, or it could be foundation math, as in like I'm not sure.
Oh, he's a teacher. Oh, there's not that many Chinese like teachers who are not teaching Chinese at Scotch at least. So that's pretty cool that you have a maths teacher who's Chinese. But yeah, I mean, like, just I guess do what your teacher says. He wants you to get a head start, then your brother can get a head start. Not to do VC in year 10. I think it depends on ability and like how and like your school culture. Yeah, more so ability and like what you've done in the past. Like there are some kids who did it in year 6, some kids who do it in year 10. Depends what your school culture is like and whether you've learned it. Like how early ago did you learn your methods? I think Bus was asking you how uni's going.
No, I think he's asking Mr. Wood.
Oh, okay. They're having their little conversation in the chat. I see. No, not year 6. The kid, I didn't do it in year 6. The kid, Kianan mentioned did it in year 6, and he got a 50. Like, he goes to Scotch. He did methods in year 6. I'm pretty sure there are websites where people write essays for you. You can probably just search it up. Um, I feel like you should just write it yourself.
Yeah, there's like a.
What were you saying?
Yeah, I was gonna say like there's like a lot of like Chinese people who write essays for you,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they like advertise everywhere.
Especially in uni. Less so in, like, high
Yeah,
school.
yeah.
What do you mean kid must have gone to MHS? What is that Scotch? I don't... Okay. What streams would be occurring next week? So next week, I'm thinking Ing Lang. I'm considering Ing Lang. I think next week our semester break starts as well. But yeah, probably Ing Lang. Are there any particular subjects that you guys like want to see, or do you want to see like an exam too, or what are your preferences in terms of these kinds of streams, or just even a general chat? I can get like a couple of us on who all did well and you can like ask questions and stuff. We currently have 40 like 2 people watching, or 40, which is pretty good. Pretty nice. Get Alan on. I get him on next time. I think it's a bit late. We're gonna end the stream soon, so I don't think there's a point in getting Mr. Allen on. All right. Any last questions? If there are no questions, I will end the stream at what, like 10:16, 10:17. Yeah, and thank you, Gordon, for joining us and uh, doing the exam. Thank you for doing the stats, the
No
probability
worries.
part.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, we just get like 6 questions. All right. Film a med podcast. A med podcast? I'm probably live. I don't think I do a podcast because it's a bit hard to set up with Zoom and it's kind of bad, honestly, because it's like, yeah. I might do a live though with some med kids if you guys would like. Um, some dude on YouTube got 50 in SPESH. Okay, are you like referring to Gordon or is there like someone who like, yeah, okay, cool. Oh, you playing chess at the moment?
A bit of puzzles for the grind.
Are you at like whose level are you at? Who can you who is a competitive challenge for you at the moment?
I reckon like I can probably beat like Max Sang pretty easily. And
Yeah,
yeah, so anyone below Max Sang doesn't have to fight to challenge me.
yeah, fair. I think we'll easily be able to tell if Max is still in the stream soon. But thanks for the maths, Darren. I'm at Deacon now. No worries, Ethan. Uh,
Ace asked if there's gonna be a chem walkthrough.
I don't know. I don't know because I don't think I know anyone who got 50 in chem, and I don't know. Yeah, I don't think chem is high on the priority list, but I am considering it if we have like enough time before exams because exams are not like that far away. I don't have that many like streams left to have these kind of things. And plus,
Yeah,
my exams are coming up as well. So
I think Alan might be happy to do it.
do what? The chem exam.
The chem.
Yeah.
If he's still in the chat.
Yeah, he can host it. He just Alan just like a 3 hour duo stream. None of us went to MHS. Okay. What were you saying?
Nothing.
All right. I think it's time to end the stream. I don't know what's happening in the chat anymore. So yeah, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you to my friends who have joined, and thank you to you guys who have tuned in to SPESH and just general exam, and general exam advice. So yeah, good luck. Have fun in the holidays and with your practice exams, and let me know if you guys have any questions, and I'll let you know when the next stream is. And thank you, Gordon, once again for joining us for SPESH.
No worries. Yeah.